So moving on to the next question, we are given that P is less than Q, okay? P is less than R, PQ is less than 0, PR is less than 0, and we have to calculate PQR and P. Like we have to determine the relationship, okay? Perfect. So if you see closely over here, right, P is less than Q, right, and PQ is less than 0. So firstly, if you see this, PQ is less than 0. I've told you before, if something is less than 0, if the product of two things is less than 0, that is only possible when one is positive and the other is negative, right? Because if both are positive, the multiplication of that, the product of that will be positive. Even if both are negative, then also the product will be positive. So this is possible only in the case that PQ is less than 0 in two cases. When P is less than 0, P is greater than 0, Q is less than 0, or P is less than 0, Q is greater than 0. This is only possible in either of the cases, that's it. Meaning one is positive and the other is negative, okay? But we are also given in the question that P is less than Q. That certainly means that if P is less than Q and if one is positive and one is negative, that means P has to be negative, right? Because it can either be two of these cases, but we know P is less than Q. So I think obviously this is not possible, right? Because this is greater than 0, this is less. That means P is greater than Q, which is wrong. P is less than Q. That means this is the only valid case, right? So one thing which we can tell from here is that P is equals to positive, P is equals to positive, right? Sorry, P is equals to negative and Q is equals to positive. I think this is one thing which should be absolutely clear, because PQ is less than 0, one has to be positive, other has to be negative. Since P is less than Q, so P will be negative and Q will be positive, okay? Perfect. Similarly over here, since PR is less than 0 and P is less than R, right? So one has to be positive, the other has to be negative. Since P is less than R, P will be negative and R will be positive in a very similar manner, right? Now, what we have left with us is that so P into Q into R and P, right? So P into Q into R. So negative into positive into positive. So positive, positive, positive. Positive into negative is negative, right? And P is also negative because we know. So that means both are negative. So I don't know, maybe this value is bigger, this value is smaller, or vice versa. We can't say anything. So your answer becomes D. If, for example, two terms would have been negative and one would be positive, then in that case, negative into negative, positive, positive into positive, positive. Then in that case, PQR would be positive and P negative, for example. So the answer would be A in that case. But right now, since both are negative, we cannot say anything. So the answer is D.